Namaste and greetings. I, Sana Ansari, researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, Prabhav Egam Niti Anusandhan Sansthan, Nai Delhi. Extend my warmest welcome to you all to IMPRI Web Policy Learning. Today marks the day 11 of Data Analytics for Policy Research Fellowship Cohort 3.0. This is a 4-month immersive online hands-on certificate training fellowship program organized by the Generation Alpha Data Center. The chair for the program is Dr. Soumyadip Chattopadhyay, Associate Professor, Economics, Vishwa Bharati Shantiniketan, and visiting senior fellow at IMPRI. The co-chair is Mr. Rakesh Pandey, doctorate candidate in the Research Analysis and Design stream, RAND School of Public Policy, and Assistant Policy Researcher, RAND Corporation. The conveners are Dr. Stigmi Mehtaji, CEO and Editorial Director at IMPRI, and Dr. Arjun Kumarji, Director at IMPRI. Before we begin, I would like to state the housekeeping rule. Please join the meeting on time. There will be Q&A session after each presentation. Share your question in the Q&A box and not on the chat box. The question must not be posted as an anonymous attendee. Ensure that the questions are precise. Refrain from making general comments in the question to save time. Without any further delay, I would like to go straight to the creative final project presentation by our fellows. All fellows are kindly requested to accept the invitation to join as panelists, which will enable you to turn on your audio and video for your presentation. Now I would like to invite Sudakshina Ghoshji for her presentation.
Just a second, Sana. We're giving everybody the panel access.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
so Dakshinaji, yes, please accept the request to join as panelist.
Yeah, I think I've now joined as panelist. So
Yes,
yeah,
you have access to share
yeah,
button.
to share my screen. Yeah. I'm just trying to find the screen. Yeah, is it visible?
Yeah, the screen is visible.
Okay, thank you so much, for giving this opportunity, first of all, to participate in this course, and through which I've learned quite a lot in terms of like really looking at real world applications of data and how to really think about policy, using a very tangible way to look at data, and how using parameters, with economic parameters, we can make very insightful sort of gain insightful understanding of how policy effects are really working, right? So climate change and sustainability are topics that I am interested in, and I'm building skill sets around. So I really wanted to assess through my research project, I wanted to assess the impact of climate change on really the livelihoods, right? Because this is also an initiative that I'm also working with, through a social enterprise that I'm associated with in really giving access. So this is not something that I'm doing from from just this project perspective. This is also something that I'm involved with very intimately. So with that background, I just wanted to highlight here that, the climate crisis today and its impact on agriculture is really a multi-layered problem. And it requires, policy interventions at many different levels, right? And it is an overall impact, not on each of us as individuals and also to businesses in terms of increasing risk of doing their business, right? So it is a multi-layered problem. And while agricultural practices are getting impacted due to, say, rising temperatures, loss of biodiversity cover, overall declining soil quality, etc., leading to declining yields, it has also got impacts in terms of the health impacts, right? And just the livability of urban environments, right? So it's a multi-layered sort of a problem, and that is one of the reasons why I thought that taking a look at what the data is really saying and just looking at available primary data and doing a lot of secondary data analysis is probably going to lead to some additional insights on this topic. I'll not go into details of this, but this is just to set the context in terms of that in India, we are seeing an increasing impact of the climate crisis, both in terms of rising temperatures and variability in rainfall patterns, which have multi-layered effects, in terms of both the heat wave impact and also the impact from shifting rainfall patterns. This is leading to a significant loss in terms of GDP, in terms of just the trend of climate-related relief effort that is going into, that is being borne by states, and also just in terms of fatalities that we are seeing, and an increasing part of the agricultural land in India becoming unviable for agricultural practices. Also, if I, and this is some of these graphs that you see here are from literature analysis. So if we see, in terms of how climate change is impacting agriculture, the primary research is around the impact on yield, especially the impact on yield on rice and wheat, both in rain-fed and irrigated areas. The chart on top is interesting because it shows that while the population, the decrease in productivity of agricultural land that is used in cultivation of wheat and rice, which are the two primary staple produce, the increase in yield is trailing the population, right? So that shows that that is one of the important points to note, that the growth rates of the yield increases are significantly lower than population. So that is one of the important metrics to assess. And the other interesting analysis that I found while doing literature review was as the temperature rises, right? So the chart below shows impact in terms of scenario modeling for various different pathways of temperature rise, right? And the decline is very significant in terms of overall agriculture productivity and wheat productivity in this case when temperature increases are significant. So that is also one of the things that this chart is trying to show. And CO2 concentration is the y-axis, but that is an indication of overall the severity of climate change. So that is also another important metric that I thought we can also look at to assess the impact of the problem. Now, based on multiple parameters, what do the farmers assess as the primary, areas in terms of when we look at farmers, what are some of the metrics that they look at in terms of assessing the impact on yield and agriculture and and the consequent impact on livelihood? Mainly the temperature fluctuation and rainfall fluctuation are the two most important parameters, because temperature fluctuation leads to drought, leads to lesser number of growing days, which impacts not only just the yield but also the quality of crops, because enough amount of nutrients do not go into the crop. And also groundwater, because this is dependent on rainfall, because a large part of India, and I was doing that analysis, I will show you the Excel sheet as well, which is this data. A large part of India is still dependent on rain-fed agriculture. Irrigation is irrigation, while the trend is growing in terms of irrigation-driven agriculture, but significant parts of the agriculture-dependent states are still rain-fed. And if rainfall patterns vary significantly, or there is a shift in rainfall, which I will also show later, then the groundwater recharge doesn't happen. So from the farmer's perspective, the temperature variation and rainfall variation are the two most important factors when they look at climate change impact on agricultural yield and consequently their income. Now, this is rainfall data that I downloaded from the MOSPI website. Now, if I look at the overall rainfall trend, sir, I wanted to also get your inputs later in terms of like how to better make draw conclusions from this rainfall data, but we largely see that it looks to be stationary. I have not done, eviews analysis on this data yet, but it looks to be stationary with a minimal sort of a downtrend when we look at average rainfall during the primary monsoon period. However, if we see the departure from the average rainfall, if we see the departure from the average rainfall trend, then we see a downward trend, and also more variation in terms of the departure in terms of lesser rainfall. This is the trend that we see if you look at data from 1901 to about 2013-14 till when the data is available. Similarly, if you also look at the departure, this is based on IMD data. If you look at the departure from the mean, we see that states that typically are more irrigation driven and have seen lesser rainfall are seeing more rainfall, and the states which have typically used to see more rainfall during this June to September time period, there they are seeing decline in terms of rainfall. So not only is there shift, but also the number of days in which the rainfall is concentrated, that is also reducing, which all of this has a significant impact in terms of how agriculture and agriculture practices need to be looked at so that the impact on farm incomes can be minimized. This is another analysis on the trends. I'll not go into this, but this one another. Yes, sir.
Sudokina,
Yes,
may I
sir.
interrupt you?
Yes, sir. Please. Yes, go ahead.
Well. So please, you wrap it up within next 2-3 minutes because
yes.
we have other presentations.
Yes.
Okay,
Sure,
so it
sir.
would be please.
Yeah. So just not more than 2-3 minutes, sir. Again, I did that analysis of temperature
Please
variation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please carry on.
Yeah. Can you see it, sir? Is the screen visible?
Yes, I can see.
Yeah. Okay. So this is again temperature variation trend that I mapped, which also again shows an upward trend, which I wanted to highlight. This again I've done research, based on secondary data available, all quantifies the impact in terms of GDP and farmer income. This is again a Ricardian model that I found where there was a indication in terms of how a regression analysis can look, and this again takes into account the the independent variables that I was also looking at. So this also indicates the impact on farm income. However, my primary concern is that this is an important point which I wanted to share, that farm income data is not available. The last farm income data that is available is only for 2017-18. So taking GDP as a overall indicator from a independent variable perspective, and then some explanatory variables can be rainfall, temperature, irrigation, use of fertilizer, etc. Now, I will also show for some states for 3 years, the SDG metrics state-wise are also available. So that can also be a good independent variable to look at. Now, I just wanted to also share the data analysis work, the data collection work that I've done, sir. I've not yet completed the analysis part, but state-wise, I have taken a look at, so overall state-wise GDP data I have collected. I've taken a look at the growth rates. Now, if I look at state-wise agriculture data, all of this data is available in terms of sown area, irrigated area, food grain production, fertilizer consumption, rainfall pattern, forestry cover, expenditure for natural relief, and SDG score. So I wanted to do some sort of a regression analysis and try and see what kind of quantification I can do in terms of the impact. So that is where I am, sir. I have not yet finished the statistical analysis part. I'm still, as you can see, the Excel sheet is still WIP in terms of. So I just wanted to share that, sir.
Well, thank you, Sudokina, for your presentation. Yeah. It's a nice one, and the problem is well specified. I have 2-3 comments to make.
Sir.
Number one is, the first part of presentation is mainly concentrated on the climate change aspects. Okay, the rainfall, temperature, the fluctuations, and all these things. Now, here in this particular aspect, you do not have to check for any stationarity or something like that, because
sir.
A simple graphical representation that already what you have done, that is more than enough. Okay, and regarding the regression part, you have mentioned about one study on Tamil Nadu.
Yes, sir. Shivaganga district of Tamil Nadu. Yes, where that regression equation is
that is fine.
Determined.
But you also rightly mentioned that it's very difficult to get data on farmers' income. So you are actually attempting to take GDP as proxy variable for income. Okay. So the approach is well, fine, but I suggest a little bit of modification in the sense, like, instead of considering the state GDP as a whole, you can consider the percentage of GDP which is coming out from agriculture. Okay,
how will I do that, sir? That is
because
not.
no, because you have the composition of GDP, na, the proportion of GDP which is coming out from agriculture, the portion of GDP which is coming from industry.
That data, is that available?
Yes, I think
I have
that
to
is
check.
available.
I
Yes,
have to
yes.
check
So
that,
please
sir,
check
because
that.
I couldn't find the farm income after 2017-18.
No,
I will check
even
that.
even if your
Yeah.
data, the farm income data is available up to 2017, that
Yeah.
will also do. But I think
Only 2017-18 I found, not even before that.
even
So
before
it's very
that.
strange. Yeah.
So no, I think here your analysis would be a kind of cross-sectional analysis, in the sense you will be having state-wise data and
State-wise data.
yes, and you're also having state-wise data on the climate change related variables and the
Yes.
other variables which you have
Yes.
talked about.
Yes.
Okay, for
Yes.
example, the
Yes.
other
Rainfall.
agriculture, yes,
Yeah.
rainfall, temperature is there, and apart from that, you also mentioned about some of the other variables which are related to
Yes.
agriculture.
Yes.
Okay. So I think you please do a search, like you go to the RBI website. There is
Okay.
a handbook of statistics on Indian economy.
Okay,
Okay.
fine.
So you just have a look at it, and you.
Okay, sir.
I'm sure that the contribution of agriculture in GDP, like state-wise contribution, that would be available. And if that is available, then I think you can take a proxy of,
yes,
that proportion of agricultural income in state GDP as a proxy of farm income, and then you can just perform the regression analysis. And the paper that you mentioned about Tamil Nadu, I think you can follow more or less same methodology, only with the caveat that, of course, depending on the availability of data, you can always adding up some more variables. Okay, some more control variables.
Control variables. Okay, sir.
Yes. So
Yes, but it's very interesting. I really enjoy. I must say that, I really learned a lot while doing this. That much I must say.
Yes. So that's nice. Also, it's nice to hear that this course is turning out to be a kind of providing some benefit to you as well. So fine. You just carry on with your work, and in case you have any queries, please email me.
Sure, sir. Okay? Sir, I'll run a couple of these analysis, these regression equations. I was thinking of probably looking at the top 10 agricultures or top 5 states in terms of agriculture.
No. If you just do it for the, say, 25 major states of India.
25 major states. Okay.
Because if you consider only top 10 or top 5, then what will happen is that your number of observations will be small. So that will distort the regression results. So I suggest you to go for 25 major states in India, and you just work with, say, 5, 6, 7 odd variables. Okay, including the dependent and dependent variable. I think that will give you some insightful results.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sudakshina ji, for your presentation and sir, for your valuable remarks. Now I would like to invite Ishona Fatima ji for her presentation.
Hello, good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes.
Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so the topic for my research paper is understanding the invisible half of Madhya Pradesh's economy. While we see that women form up to 50% of MP's population, but they are mostly undercounted and underrepresented in the paid work. While the official numbers show that only a quarter of women are working in MP, but if we count unpaid labor, caregiving, and informal work, the real picture would transform, and so would our understanding to MP's economy. So the objectives for my paper is to analyze women's visible and invisible economic contribution. It is also to see the district-wise analysis of participation and care burden, and examine the alignment of government schemes such as the MG-NREGA, NRLM, and skilling onto the participation of women in the economy. Secondly, the data sources and methodology. I'll be using the secondary data sources from the PLFS, the NFHS 5 census, the MOSPI reports, and I'll also be using the CEDA and the Data for India portals. The methodology that I'll be going forward with is the cross-sectional district level analysis, and focusing on the indicators which are the labor force participation, unpaid care hours, and informal work. I'll also be using visual analytics and storytelling approach. The expected findings and contributions are that the formal participation is greater than 25%, but the informal and unpaid work are far higher. There is high unpaid care burden restricts on women's economic mobility, and the schemes work but lack care support system, and the district alignment differs. So, giving more light on that, and the expected outcomes would be evidence for care economy investment and gender sensitive skilling policies. So that's how I'm planning to go forward with my research paper. Yes.
Well, thank you, Anosha. Yeah, the topic is interesting, but since once you are telling that you will be, using the PLFS and FHS census data, but at the same time, at the methodological part, you were saying that it will be a kind of storytelling approach and visual analytics. So I'm a little bit confused, like what exactly is meant by this visual analytics and storytelling approach? Because if you are actually doing some kind of storytelling approach, then you do not have to need those data sets, because those data sets will give you some numbers. So can you please clarify a little bit, like what exactly would be your approach?
Sure, sir. So initially, I thought that I'll mix primary data and secondary data. I will go through some interviews as well, but I felt that it won't be credible enough. So I'll just be focusing on the secondary data, the sources that I have, and I'll try and build a picture around it and see how much data can I actually pull off, so that I can actually find a possible outcome. I just don't want the data to be accumulated at a place and just put a story out there. So my main focus is the data and the numbers. And if possible, I can match a case study with it, then the storytelling part. If not, then I'll just be going with the data.
Okay. So, well, I understand this. So then my suggestion would be to focus only on PLFS data, because you just look at the PLFS data and that must be time use data,
Yes.
and then just try to see like whether the district level data is available for MP or not. Because if the district level data is not available for MP, okay, then you can do a state level analysis as well, because the topic that you are actually looking at, there is a lot of discussion. There are a lot of discussions which are going on, like this
Yes.
female labor force participation. Because if you know, like if you have followed, the PLFS report of this year has just been published, and it is also showing some increase in the female labor force participation, because the government reports, they are actually, you know, projecting this as some improvement in the females labor force participation. But the thing is that, well, in terms of number, there has been some increase in the female labor participation rate, but as you are rightly pointing out, whether it is the visible work or invisible work, or the kind or nature of work in which the women are more engaged, so that needs to be explored at a larger scale. And if you can do that using PLFS data, that would be kind of providing you some good insights. So of course, at the macro level, even in the context of MP also, I guess you'll be finding that there would be some increase in the female labor force participation rate. But as a researcher, your task would be to find out the kind of work in which they are more engaged. Okay, so that visible and invisible kind, the framework that you have just trying to capture, if you can do that, so that would provide some greater insights about the quality of female employment in MP. And as I am mentioning, if it is not available at the district level, which is basically your core objective, then you can study the same objectives keeping all the states. Okay, so even that would also give you some interesting insights. And then if time permits, you can complements your entire study with some case study, if it is possible, if it is feasible for you. Okay, then definitely you can always complement your secondary data analysis with some kind of case study approach based on the based on your convenience. So that would be a nice kind of thing. But as another thing is that you please drop that third objective, because the third objective is basically you are trying to looking at the different government programs. So since we have to complete, or rather you have to submit your project within a specified deadline, So I think it will be a little bit tedious for you to address that particular objective. So we just focus on objective 1 and objective 2, and depending on the availability of data, either you focus on district-wise MP or you can go for state level analysis.
Sure.
So
Okay.
do not no need to go for that objective 3. That is my suggestion. Okay.
Okay, sure, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your presentation and sir for your remarks. Now I would like to invite Hina Sinhaji for her presentation. Hina ji, we cannot hear you. Are you talking? Okay. I think so. There is some issue with that. Until then, we can go to Akhil Ahmedji.
Yes.
Akhil Ahmedji, we request you to kindly present your.
Hello, Sana. Is it me that you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
Akhil Adam it's Adam, right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So I
Yes,
was a
we're
bit
referring to
confused.
you. Please go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah. Just a minute, I'll share my screen. So is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My study, The Inheritance of Disadvantage, How Public Policy Fails to Build Embodied Health Capital in India, so dives into one of the harsh realities in India, which is that uh, poverty and social barriers don't just affect one generation, they literally pass on health problems from mothers to children. So in my study, I call it the Embodied Health Capital, or EHC, a concept where body health is shaped by everyday factors like caste, education, and location. So this framework, the theoretical framework that I am using, that is Embodied Health Capital, is significantly drawn from the works of Bourdieu from his Embodied Health Capital, Embodied Cultural Capital, and Piketty in his Inherited Capital, and Sen from his capability frameworks. So here it is not just about calories, so it's how these forces get inscribed into our bodies over time. So moreover, nutrition policies like ICDS and PM Poshan often miss the mark, failing to intervene early enough to break the circle. So today in this presentation, I'll share the main objectives, my approach, and some early findings. So a simple or a limited understanding of embodied health capital as it is defined in my study is that it constitutes the somatic imprint of social stratification, wherein accumulated physiological resilience and vulnerabilities forged through habituated practices and inherited asymmetries constrain or expand the substantive freedoms to achieve vital functioning, such as nutritional vitality, intergenerational thriving. This biosocial construct reveals how inequities, internalized as durable dispositions and compounded by unequal returns on capital, undermine capabilities, perpetuating cycles of deprivation among policy silos that overlook pre-reproductive interventions. Now, moving to my main objectives. So my core objective, which is straightforward, is to understand how malnutrition is inherited. I mean, a better terminology might be passed on because inherited is a bit contested in this sense, but still, contextualizing it, we may call it how it is inherited due to socio-cultural and economic reasons. Specifically, I want to show how policies fail to build health in young girls, leading to ongoing hunger in families and suggest better ways to stop it. So we currently have a lot of policies that are concerned with pregnant women, but but very less effective policies concerning pre-pregnancy period of women. So this is where I am concerned and my study is concerned with. Moving to the data and methodological approach. For data, I'm using the NFHS 5 survey comprehensively from 2019 to 21, which has information on about 200,000, that is 2 lakh mother-child pairs. So I also pulled in policy reports from Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and NFHS evaluations for context. My approach is mixed method. Quantitatively, I intend to use a principal component analysis to create an EHC index. I'm currently working on that. I hope to finish it in some time. So it's like boiling down, certain things like caste, education, dietary diversity, anemia, stunting into one score that captures how disadvantages build up in a mother's body. Then this is something that I'm thinking about to do a structural equation model or SEM, which maps the link, like how a mother's EHC affects her child's stunting or wasting, and other policies like ICDS make a difference. Qualitatively, I'll be doing a thematic analysis on policy documents, spotting patterns like implementation silos or neglect of adolescent girls. Tentative findings, I think there are more to be discovered by the end of the study, but early findings are telling if preliminary. Mothers from lower castes face 40% higher child's hunger rates tied to poorer health buildup. Caste and anemia are the biggest drivers in my EHC score as well. The policies do help during pregnancy, covering around about 80% of cases, but they ignore teen girls, missing most chances to build lasting health. The better teen programs could cut family hunger by 20 to 30%, but the current setup keeps the cycle spinning, like silos mean we treat symptoms, not roots. So these are associations from a state subset. So full analysis will refine them, but they already point to equity gaps. So I think this is all about my study.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Akhil. It's really very interesting, and the framework that you have adopted is that is equally interesting. That embodied health capital. Okay, so I have 3 observations. The first one is when you are talking about the application of PCA for constructing that EHC index, the application of PCA for construction of this kind of index is fine. It is well accepted in the literature. Okay.
Yes,
but in the slide you have mentioned that you will be, including the caste, education, and all these as component of that PCA. So is that so? If I correctly understood your approach. So, or what I could understood from your slide, that your PCA, when you are actually, because PCA is nothing but you are actually boiling down your 15 different indicators to a single indicator. That's basically as simple as that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, what I'm trying to understand is that are you suggesting to include, or are you planning to include, your caste and education as one of those components under PCA, or you are going to explain or rather utilize this education and caste as the explanatory variable?
Sir, I think I'll have to think more about that. I think I was following the first one, but as you suggested, I mean, the second approach might
No,
as
no, no,
well.
no, 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 no. Your PCA is fine, but I think
Uh-huh.
just try to think your caste and education, and
Yes,
you are
sir.
talking about the location as well. So this could be your explanatory variables, okay?
Yes, sir.
Because
Yes, sir.
EHC is basically some outputs, okay? So the
Yes, sir.
stunting and all those other biological indicators, so that could
Yes.
be that you can incorporate, or rather that you can use in order to construct that PCA. Okay,
Mm.
so once you have that PCA, now there will be some variations in the PCA. To explain that variation, you take the help of caste, education, location, and all these things. So that would be a much more direct approach in order to
Yes.
find out like what is actually happening, like how your EHC is basically impacted by caste, education, location. Because what actually is what I'm observing from your final tentative findings, that all these caste, education, location, they are expectedly going to have some important impacts on these EHC indicators. So
Yes,
that
sir.
would be
Yes.
one approach. Okay, and
Yes.
second is that the way you are actually doing your data analysis. So
Yes.
I'm little bit like worried about the utility of the first objective. Like
Okay,
I can
sir.
understand that, okay, you can concentrate on the young girls and their health, because that young girls' health can be captured by EHC. But what about your first objective, like that inheritance part? Like how you are actually trying? Is it a conceptual framework that you are trying to propose, or rather you are going to somehow you have a plan to quantify that inheritance part? So
Yes, sir. It's mostly conceptual,
okay.
but I'm also planning if there is any possibility of quantifying, then
No, then I think then my suggestion would be to you can utilize that ICDS and PM portion. Okay,
yes, sir.
so how the implementation of this ICDS or PM portion is impacting these inheritance incidents. Okay, because
Okay,
you
sir.
can do a much more an analysis which is qualitative in nature, where
Okay.
you can do like you can always quantify what are the components which have some huge or greater implications for inheritance part. Okay, maybe for example the kind of support which are being provided under ICDS program or PM portion program, that might
Yes,
be
sir.
having some greater implications for that inheritance part. So you just try to identify those policy instruments under
Yes.
ICDS and PM portion, and then
Yes, sir.
try to match this inheritance part qualitatively.
Yes, sir.
Okay, via
True, sir.
certain
Okay,
kind
sir.
of exploratory analysis. So that will then will complement your this quantitative analysis that you are going to perform.
Yes.
So you'll be
Okay, sir.
having a qualitative part of your analysis, and you'll be having
Yes.
a
Quantitative.
quantitative part, which is based on this construction of EHC and its explanations via
Yes,
certain
sir.
kind of regression analysis which you have mentioned. So that is my suggestion at
Okay,
this
sir.
point of time. But
Yes, sir.
the topic is interesting, and the way we have presented, especially this adoption of EHC framework, is really, I think, interesting.
Thank you,
So
sir.
so yes, please go ahead with your what.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your presentation, and thank you so much, sir, for your remarks. Now I would like to invite Hina Sinaji for her presentation.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, great. Okay. Sorry for the issue earlier. I'm just presenting. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So hi, my name is Hina. So sir, actually my topic was a little different earlier. It was to do more with NGOs and what strategies they are using for sex education, but also it also had a part of policies in SRHR. But now I thought I would change it a little and focus more on the policy because I've never done policy research before. So I thought maybe I can learn more if I use this. Okay. So my topic for the new research is From Policy to Practice, a data-driven review of sexuality education in India's public health framework. My reason for choosing this topic mainly on sexuality education was because I have also worked in this field before on child sexual abuse, and I had seen many gaps in sex education in schools mainly. Okay, so also while doing my literature review, I understood that we have the highest population of adolescents in India, so approximately 253 million, and almost 71% lack comprehensive sexuality education access. And my objectives, I have three objectives. First is to map India's adolescent sexuality education policies, so specifically RKSK and NEP. And I'm also going to match them against national data systems like NFHS, UDICE, and RKSK database to identify if there are any gaps between policy goals and measurable indicators. Then secondly, I'm also trying to identify gaps in indicator coverage, disaggregation, and cross-sectoral integration that can, I think, hinder with evidence-based policy action. And thirdly, I wanted to, this is a newly added thing that I just recently thought about, to review evidence from NGO and research interventions to identify collaborative and evaluative practices that can strengthen the link between implementation, monitoring, and policy goals. Okay, going to the next slide. Okay, so basically, my objectives, the aim of my objective is to bridge the gap between policy intent and on-ground evidence, and also trying to show how better data and partnerships can turn commitments into measurable outcomes. Yeah. Going to the next. Okay. So this is the part where I want to talk about data and methodological approach. I have separated it into three parts. First is policy review and data source mapping. So I thought I would focus first mainly on the RKSK data and basically review the RKSK data, reports or database, whatever is available publicly. And then also map national data systems like NFHS 5 or UDICE to understand what indicators they are looking at from the perspective of sexuality education. And thirdly, identify any gaps or misalignment between the policy intent and available measures. Secondly, I'm also thinking of understanding what gaps exist, but in a format of making a matrix kind of a sort to map and match the objectives that RKSK mentions and the indicators that it takes on and the other national data systems. And the gaps will be across content coverage, the reach of the program, and lastly, the outcomes. Thirdly, evidence review. So to review the research and NGO-led interventions on adolescent SRHR and sexuality education, and to extract lessons on their implementation or how they have monitored such programs, and also the collaboration if they've ever done it with the government. Yeah. Lastly, preliminary findings. This slide I've made according to whatever I've read on and whatever data I could make sense of. So first is fragmented policy and data alignment. So policy documents, I've seen that across many policy documents, they articulate clear goals for the SRHR and what they want to, what are the objectives. But the data has been spread across multiple systems. So NFHS, UDICE, and there's no separate or single integrated monitoring framework that can link the health part or the education and the youth data. Secondly, there's limited measurement of sexuality education. So when I was looking at the NFHS and UDICE data, I couldn't track anything specific on the CSC curriculum or the CSC part of the data, because even though they used to mention that they want to track the psychosocial development of the adolescents, but there was nothing written in the reports. Also, NFHS included partial adolescent indicators that they have done HIV awareness, contraception, but they don't focus more on the age group of 10 to 14, but more on 15 to 19. Also, out of school adolescents, whoever who are not in the schools, their data is not available in these data sets. Next is weak monitoring and collaboration mechanisms. So there are separate
Sorry to
reporting.
interrupt, but your 5 minutes
Yes.
are up, and we kindly request you to conclude your presentation in next 2
Yes.
minutes.
Yes, sure. Thank you. The next is weak monitoring and collaboration mechanisms. So there are separate reporting channels across health and education ministries that limit coherence. And lastly, from the NGO-led interventions, I realized that if the government policies also focus on the intervention part a little bit more and combine their SRHR program with something that has to do with life skills, it would help to polish such programs. Yeah, and this is the last slide. So yeah, thank you.
So you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, could you please go back to your fourth slide? Yeah, fourth
Yeah.
slide. Fourth.
Fourth slide. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Your objective are well specified. Okay, so just a little bit of, I have two specific observations. Now, since the time frame is short for you to prepare this entire
Correct.
report, okay. So
Yeah.
I suggest you to concentrate only on the NFHS report, okay, because you have already
Okay.
mentioning that you guys do not have any data on or do not track this CSE curriculum coverage or
Correct.
the training.
Yes, sir.
So you just mentioned that these as a data like lack of data, okay. You just concentrate on NFHS indicators, adolescent indicators, and then you just try to do rural-urban analysis, and then the analysis, state-wise analysis, if it is possible. So that will give you some very good, interesting insights. Okay.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and as far as the NGO-led interventions are concerned, so it will be a huge literature because lots of NGOs, they are doing some massive work in this particular area. So they are given the time constraint for this IMPRI project. I suggest you to concentrate only on those NGO interventions on which you do not have data on NFHS. Okay, for example, you just concentrate on what NGOs are doing for improving these sexual education awareness about the 10 to 14 adolescents or those who are out of school adolescents. Okay, you just focus on those issues, because since there are no data on this particular aspect, so then what the NGOs are doing or how the NGO-led interventions are actually creating or rather addressing or bridging this particular data gap. Okay, so how they're actually addressing the this actual important part of between 10 to 14 age group. So you just concentrate on that part, because for the other part, of course, you have the data from NFHS. So from there, you can easily identify whatever data, whatever gaps are there. Okay, but which are not there in the NFHS official data set. For that, you just concentrate on the NGO intervention. Otherwise, your entire NGO intervention part would be a huge part.
I agree. Yeah.
Yes. So that in that sense, that itself could be one important topic for research.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So these are
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hinaji, and thank you so for your feedback and remarks. Now, the last presentation we have by Prachi Agarwal. We request you to kindly share your presentation. The screen is visible.
Hello.
Yes. Yes,
Am I
can
audible?
see. Yes,
you're audible.
Yes. So, thank you for
could you please make it full screen?
Full screen. Yes, so 1 second. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so hello everyone. The topic for my research that I've chosen is evaluating manual scavenger rehabilitation schemes in Rajasthan, a caste and family-centric policy analysis. So, going on the background and rationale of choosing this topic is that despite the 2013 Rehabilitation and 1993 Abolition Act, the manual scavenging still persists, and the welfare, in spite of that, it is still very much visible. And Rajasthan records the second highest atrocities against SC/ST continuously across the years in the according to the NCRB dataset, and this presents a very deep-rooted caste-based occupational inheritance. And the rehabilitation efforts that I am studying in this study are basically under two schemes, that is the SRMS scheme and the Namaste scheme. The Namaste scheme is more about turning the process of manual scavenging to mechanized version, and SRMS is about the self-reliance mechanism for the manual scavengers, where the government gives one-time cash assistance and skills as well. So this is to aim to eradicate the practice, and however the outcomes still can be found limited. And the other thing is that the project also examines whether the rehabilitation policies have improved the social mobility, education, and family welfare. The reason for family lens is because when we are framing the welfare policies, it does not affect an individual. Rather, in order to improve the social mobility, it has to affect the whole family as a unit and not an individual when you're talking about manual scavengers over here. The research objectives of the study are, the first one is to evaluate the effectiveness of SRMS and Namaste schemes in eradicating manual scavenging in Rajasthan, and to analyze, the second one is to analyze the link between caste, family structure, and the rehabilitation outcomes. And the third is that I will compare the quantitative indicators of social mobility using three major data sets, that is the PLFS, NFHS, and NCRB data. So, and the fourth one is to identify the policy gaps and propose family-centric redesigns focused on dignity and intergenerational mobility. So, talking about the conceptual framework of choosing the topic, the first is the caste and labor nexus. So, this is very well known, and all the literature and data also presents that the manual scavenging is not a chosen form of labor, it is an inherited social labor, and largely the scheduled caste, the population is involved in this. So there is a clear caste and labor nexus that we need to address while framing the policies, and hence this lens. And the family centric lens, I have already told that the rehabilitation affects entire families and not individuals. So if we are talking about intergenerational mobility, it can only be achieved if we create a family centric lens. And the policy analysis is basically five stage. If I talk about, the first is the historical and structural context, because there is a lot of context to this problem. I need to address that as well. And the second is the policy design analysis, whether the policy design is able to address the caste and labor lens, and whether it is able to target the whole family, or it is just financial and symbolic in nature. So that is an analysis to be done. The number third is the before and after outcomes. So before the 2013 Act or after the 2013 Act, in that before and after outcomes, we are focusing on two policies. SRMS is 2018 and Namaste is more recent, around 21. And then the implementation and gaps, whether what is the problem in the implementation, what are the gaps in the policies, and finally the redesigned recommendations after this analysis. If I talk about the data sources, so there is no clear availability of sanitation workers data in Rajasthan. So I have to create a proxy population of it. So I've used the PLFS data for that, and that is 22, 23, 24. 21 data was not consistent in nature, so I had to drop that. So right now I have these 3 years continuous data, and I've created a proxy population of sanitation workers. Then the SRMS data is basically of 2 survey. One happened in 2013 when the Rehabilitation Act was launched. The OTC here is the one-time cash assistance, that is 40,000 rupees is given by the government when you identify a manual scavenger. So that has risen from 336 to 1,002 in 2018. So the beneficiaries have risen. And the NCRB dataset records the highest SC/ST atrocity cases in India, the second highest being in Rajasthan consistently. There has been rise, and there has been no reduction in the social vulnerability of the caste group. Then the NFHS indicators that we are interested is in labor, education, and living standards among the SCs, and any supplementary reports to triangulate the data later on if required. So the methodological approach is a mixed method only over here. So quantitative, I have already told about the data sets that I'm using, and the tools are descriptive and cross tabulation majorly. And I
I'm
think,
sorry to interrupt, but your 5 minutes are up and we kindly request you to conclude your presentation,
yes, so
please.
now I'll just come on the core data sets and analytical potential that I am seeing in this. So the PLFS data, the variables of interest that I'm interested in is the employment category, the social group, the sector, and the education level. And the analytical possibilities can be that we do a trend analysis, and we trend analysis already I have done it, and the occupational mobility, whether they have been able to move from the across the different labors. And the SRMS data set, again, it provides a data on the direct beneficiaries of financial and vocational aid. So that also gives an idea whether uh, it will be basically the baseline to assess whether there is some shift in the labor and the living standards. And coming to the NFHs, that the variables of interest over here are again caste, education, and housing quality, sanitation access, all kind of health indicators. So in this becomes really important because over here I can be able to test whether the SRMS coverage correlates with the improved NFHS indicators, and if there has been any actual impact of the policies. And also the education outcomes, because the SC households are mostly linked to the sanitation occupations. So this is the relevance of the NFHS data. And the NCRB, again, it helps to see the social vulnerability, whether it has reduced or it is stagnant or it has increased. So that again we have to do a correlation testing with the SRMS coverage and the PLFS proxy population. So the tentative findings